tell people, don't go looking for your guru. Your guru is the person you don't want to be around. Your guru is the person that you are living with. Your guru is that person you absolutely despise hanging out with. That's your teacher. That's your Buddha. Go be with them. Go make peace with that. Make peace within you that you're resisting that. That person at work that drives you insane, that's your projection. Go work on that. You don't need to go sit at, it's great to go to these teachings. It's great to go and listen to these Dalai Lamas and things. I have the utmost beautiful respect for their teachings. Yes, you may learn there, but your biggest teacher is you. Always.
And also, don't discard your truth for their truth. I find that we're always doing that. Oh, they're making more money or they're more successful. Their truth must have more merit than mine. And yeah. I really feel like we need everybody's truths, perspectives, beliefs, background in order to complement and complete the bigger picture. It's not on one truth. It's all of them. The way they come together makes that one beautiful truth.
Yes,
there absolutely is one truth in general of the core of the universe of how things work. But still, you have to. How does that truth come to be? By the non-bias, looking at everything through heaven's eyes, through that gentle, loving, forgiving child, playful kind of. That's where it comes about. That clarity, that perspective, that understanding of a child, again, usually embodies.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Breathe and not resist. Be joy. Blow bubbles. Dance. Sing. When you're feeling down or sad or angry, the easiest way to flip that around is put on some music you love and just, go into that. And that is the only thing we can do here. It's all happening. It's just happening. It's our perspective of it and our labeling of it that makes it good or bad.
Well, even when we were talking about how everything is mirrors, I really wanted to understand how is it possible that everything is a mirror? And then I was guided to ask the question, what is really the original mirror? And that was water. So take a lake and imagine you're looking at your reflection in that lake and the water is disturbed. Then the image of yourself in the world would be distorted. Now, know that most of our body is made up of water.
Yes.
And our water, most of us inside of it's disturbed. It is. And so that means the perspective we would have on when we look at other people or when we look at ourselves, it'll be distorted. Yes. And that makes sense for people who are bulimics and things like that too, right? When they're looking at the mirror and they're always seeing themselves as ugly or, as opposed to what other people, no, you look beautiful. Don't, why are you thinking like that? Let it go. And they can't. And then they continue to bulimics and anorexics and so many people, not aside from that though, we're looking at our life through funhouse vision. And if we were to clear and calm our waters, then we would have a clear perspective at ourselves and the world.
And yet there's an element to this too, in just accepting and loving what is, and knowing that even the story of my 38 years of victimhood, even whatever story you had before the experiences with your father, were exactly perfect, and that I couldn't change those, nor would I want to. That if I could go back and rewrite those 38 years so that I had now what I, could have then, I wouldn't do it because I couldn't be this. I couldn't be here now in this way without having that perspective to build on. So even these people that are having these stories of their mirrors being distorted, it's perfect.
That's right.
Their wake-up moment will happen exactly when it's intended, and they'll see perspective exactly when they're meant to. And that's okay.
That's right.
It's okay. There's no need to dive in and try and fix anyone is what I've learned, and that's the human reaction. And I think that's why counseling in many ways doesn't work, and it's why a lot of our medicinal practices don't work, because we're trying to work on the root of something that isn't where the work needs to be done. So the person comes into a place of acceptance and waking up right when they're meant to.
Even just comparing as well. There's no point to as well. All flower buds bloom sooner or later kind of a thing.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely.
Going back to your near-death experience, was there anything else that happened after you were looking at the book and of all your experiences and their perspective on it and how gentle they were and non-judgmental they were about it? Anything else to share that happened after that you recall?
So the next knowing for me was that I was not going to be able to stay there. That my experience there, although beautiful and one that I was completely enveloped in, was temporary. It was not for me to be there permanently. I needed to return to this physical body. I had so many experiences, as I've said in my YouTubes, and some of them are quite personal and I don't share. But this one I will share. I was able to meet my son as an adult. I got to experience my son as an adult, and there was a knowing that he needed me here. Mm. Need being a word, very human word, but that there was some things that we still had to do together, and that was my reason for returning. There was not a sadness, if you will, to come back, but there was this desire to stay. And yet, it was time to come back. I then had an experience of being back in that beautiful pink experience. The smells, I link them to gardenias here, but it was so different than gardenias. It was almost like they were greeting me with a farewell of smells and musics that just can't be described here. It was a celebration of my return, and I was guided by what I know to be Archangel Gabriel, just kind of saying, leading me back to the body, and then I returned to the physical body, which was painful. It wasn't painful to leave, but it was painful to return, and a big shock on the whole psyche, returning to the physical body. But there was just this great excitement to be alive, and euphoria is the only word I can use. I was euphoric. The love streaming out of my physical body was just, I was vibrating. I could see through walls. I now had dead people all around me. I had angels all around me, and I knew that I was different forever. My life was completely changed.
So this is when really it started for you. Before that, you didn't have any understanding or interest in these kind of things at all?
I was always fascinated with spiritual stuff. I was raised in Catholicism. I was always tied to Mother Mary and Medjugorje, and I was always very interested in metaphysical stuff, but I didn't have any personal experience with it myself.
Okay, so, and then were you one of those people who are also wanting to have, so many people are like, how do I open my third eye? I'm going to take this workshop and that workshop, and that just happened naturally after this experience. You had no idea that these things were going to suddenly come with you afterwards, maintain that sight and that perspective.
No, and nor was I told, when I left that I would be different. The only thing that I was shown was that I was meant to come back and help people be reminded to remember who they were. I was never told that my toolbox was going to change.
Did they talk to you about the future of Earth and what they were doing here? Is it just experiences, but there is also this divine plan to kind of all of us to awaken and recognize and live fully conscious and probably create a new game, something that's not so much drenched in duality.
Yeah, truly, just to know that we're here to breathe and resist, that everything that's happening is for our highest good. Everything is coming from a place of love. It's our perspective of it. If a building is crashing, it's crashing because something's being rebuilt. Mm-hmm. We tie on to and wrap stories around everything that we see. Just know that it's happening for our highest good, and to always return to love. Mm-hmm. It's always coming from a place of love.
A lot of times people who end up on the other side, they tend to always have the question asked, so how much love did you give in this moment of your life? That I look at us like love containers, and it's up to us how much love we give in every moment that is presented to us. Because, we can complain about our government and the president, but we are the president of our own love. And it's up to us how much we wish to give in each moment. I constantly remind myself of that, to just be aware in this moment to give it love, to give that person love.
Yeah, we're beings of love. We're meant to respond from a place of love, and yet when we don't, we're meant to love ourselves through even that.
Well, yeah, and forgiveness in that way too.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
when you came back and you had all these abilities, was it a little shocking for you? Did you feel like, okay, I was suddenly... Now, one thing about seeing the other realm is it's not just seeing guides, angels, nature spirits, star beings, but it's also seeing darker, lower entities as well. And that's why a lot of people don't see, because they do see, but they don't want to see, so they block it out, and they block out everything because they just want to see the good things, not the other things. And
right.
so, and poor children, so many children see it, and they don't know what to do with it or how to handle when they're being bullied by these lower entities and things like that. Do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, so one of the things that I was blessed with in this experience was knowing that however this was going to come to me, it was going, even though it was so sudden and big, that I was going to be eased into this. That the fears that were going to arise in me were going to be worked with, and that I was going to be given the right guide at the right moment to help me through that.
Okay.
It started right from the minute of recognizing that I could see these things and knowing that I had taken all these psychotropic drugs to kill myself. Was I insane? So my first opportunity to really trust this was when the doctor came in and said, "Are you seeing or hearing anything you shouldn't be?" And my first opportunity to trust my birth guide, Bernadette, who said, "Tell him no or they'll lock you up." So she's as real to me as you are, as tangible in physicality to me as you are. And I have her standing here saying, "Tell him no or they'll lock you up." And it was my first opportunity to trust that. So I looked at the doctor and I said, "No, doctor, I'm fine."
Mm-hmm.
Now, there's something that's happening to the self in this, and that's, am I insane? Did I just damage my brain?
Right.
Is there somebody here he doesn't see? So that whole element was going on, but I was so tied in love and euphoria that I didn't even care. I just, I trusted what was coming through, and I answered the questions the right way or appropriate way, and I got myself out of that dang hospital. That was all I wanted to do.
Very similar to my dad's.
So there were some dark, scary things that have come through my path along this way. And, you mentioned young children because they're often not guided in this, or well, they are, but they're not recognizing it yet.
Yeah, there seems to be, they have this understanding or this, they have their abilities open, but they don't have management or the tools that they seem to get when they're older, I find. Or that's where we come into the picture, and kind of, I have to work with a lot of children who are experiencing seeing these things, and they don't know how to manage it.
Yes.
So
and that very much happened for me. I didn't know how to manage it. I had so much coming through. At night I wouldn't sleep. It was scary. I had these very real things like my birth guide Bernadette, who I could physically see, and then when I would lay down to go to bed, I had these darker floaty things over me when the lights would go out, and I didn't know what those were. Of course, the mind perceives them as scary, but they really weren't, but that's what my mind did. I've had people's faces morph into very demonic looking structures in sessions, so I've had some areas that would be called scary or dangerous, and I had to learn how to drive this vehicle. I had to trust the guidance that was coming through. I had to recognize that I had the ability to say no to things coming through.
Mm-hmm.
That if something appeared scary, I could tell it, "You're not welcome in this vibration." Mm-hmm. And I had the opportunity, being that I'm coming now from a place of complete love, to say no to something.
Okay.
So that was the first thing, was learning that I could drive this, because at the beginning, my every experience was now in that other realm. I stopped living in this third dimension, and I put everybody, including my family, in the background, and was so focused on this other realm, I didn't realize I could turn it off, and I could call it in when I needed to, and really still be part of this third dimension, if you will.
Being grounded at the same time. I know my dad sure was lost to that realm.
Yeah. I thought that if somebody's dead uncle was coming to me, I had to deal with that right then. I had to stop everything I was doing and deal with that right then, because it was showing up. But we have to remember that there is no past or future. It's all happening now. So there is this ability to slow it down